my fears. I'm gonna build a home in your own body.
Welcome to Life Advice with Jennifer Lewis Hall, life coach, author, and journalist. Join us for Jennifer's conversation series discussing issues, events, and advice to help you navigate life's challenges.
Welcome, folks, to Life Advice. Rise and shine. Good to be with you this morning. Hope everything's going well as you start your day. This is your host, Jennifer Lewis Hall. I'm glad you're back with me for another edition of Life Advice. I just love to be able to bring some positive energy, some information that you can use, listen to, take it in. Sometimes I say, you know what, grab a pencil or a pen if you have one nearby and a piece of paper, write something down. Today, just take it in and listen because we've got a really interesting show for you. We're kind of picking up here with Janet Richmond, who is an energy healer. And if you haven't heard of that before, we're going to talk a little bit about what that means. But more importantly, who hasn't at one point or the other felt like they were stuck in a rut, stuck in a situation, stuck in a scenario, or trying to kind of climb or claw their way out of something that they didn't see kind of light at the end of the tunnel? Could it be, finances? You save and you had a couple of bucks put away. I always say when I've had $5 in my pocket sometimes to save, I feel like I end up spending 15 because, the car needs this or the house needs that. Or you have unexpected things that just go wrong, and there you go. You feel like you're not only back to square one, but sometimes backpedaling in a scenario because now what you've had, you don't have, and you had it on kind of like a standby plan. Or you just feel like you're constantly churning, trying to get ahead with a scenario. Finances is perfect for that, I think, where you felt like, you know what, I've been trying to save for this, but I just can't do it. Or is it the job? A lot of times we feel like, we've been in the same position. Do I take a lateral move? You're trying to go left. You feel like you're constantly staying right. Whatever it is, we're going to talk a little bit today about getting unstuck. And even what does it just mean to be? For me, those are some examples. But, love to hear from you guys. Hit us up on social media. Make sure you email us. Let us know. I can look at those as I'm in the studio right now. But I want to bring into the fold now our guest who's with us to talk a little bit about that. We've been able to discuss with Janet Richmond the laws of attraction, neutralizing some of those negative thoughts, bringing in then the light, those positive thoughts. Janet, welcome back to Life Advice.
Well, thank you. I'm thrilled to be back again.
It's great to have you because you have a really interesting profession. Some folks may say, I don't know if I get it when, as I listen, like, okay, what does it mean when we talk about the planets and the universe and people here? As far as I know, our listeners are right here in the flesh. They're listening to us. You say, though, that a lot of things we carry with us from the past, and being able to neutralize that is important. And I think that's where we kind of pick up from the scenario of getting unstuck. What do people tell you commonly they're stuck with or by?
Well, honestly, I could be here all day and not get to the end of the list because everybody is so unique. Everybody has their own problems. But maybe the most common one, although there's a lot of common ones, but maybe the most common one is finances.
So it is money. That's one of the top concerns, clearly, every year when people make resolutions, when people talk about, things impacting their lives. Not too surprising then.
No, it sure isn't. Most of us have struggled, and as a matter of fact, from the perspective that I share, this planet is one that draws souls to it that want to heal their material balance, so to speak. They want to heal this. So many people do have some sort of issue with material balance, or really what that means is to manifest from the abstract to the concrete, to materialize. But it doesn't have to be in finances. It can be materializing good relationships in a state of balance, or materializing your gifts and talents in a state of balance. So, but it often plays out through finances, and that's one of the reasons why it's a very common pattern. Souls who've come here to this planet, because I don't know if I should say this, but we've been on many, hundreds and thousands of planets, but souls that choose this planet are ones that want to really heal this pattern.
Well, this even sounds different to some people. Maybe not to you, but to some people who would say, well, this is the planet I'm on. I grew up in New Jersey. This is where I live, and that's what I do. So do people ever tell you, wait a minute, Janet, that sounds far off?
No, actually they don't, because once you have a wider perspective, it helps you see your issue in a different way. And it doesn't make the issue go away. It doesn't fix it. It doesn't heal it. It's like, oh, okay, well, maybe I really want to heal this pattern, and that's why I'm here. This is a good thing. This is an opportunity. So it turns something potentially negative into, wow, I chose to be here at the soul level to bring myself this opportunity to improve or to heal or to balance or whatever the issue might be. So I don't get that. I mean, you've talked to me, I have a very normal life. I had my own career. I have 2 children. I've had my own ups and downs. It's I'm just like everyone else.
Well, it's interesting because obviously you're an author of 2 books, really interesting background, and having dealt with the loss of your parents early in your life, and you write and you talk about your experiences of overcoming very severe shyness and how you've been able to work with other people. As we look at the issue of getting unstuck, whether it is dealing with money, relationship. Sometimes people will say, and there's so many books that talk about, getting your relationship to another level or getting it out of just where the zone that it's in. Not uncommon at all for folks. What are some of the techniques, even if you use 1 or 2 of these examples, that you use to help people get unstuck?
Well, the basic technique, which is what I mentioned on the prior show, it's the easiest one to explain, and people can do it, is simply to focus on that inner light that we carry, whether you call it the God within, the light within. I happen to call it the pure soul essence, but every single soul carries this. It is our powerhouse, and we just have to come to the point of awareness that we have it. I like to use the symbol of a sun. If we visualize the sun within and then start to pulse out that sunlight and ask it to neutralize the pattern, whether it's finances, relationship issues, lack of self-esteem, anything. I get a lot of people who've been abused in some way, who have tremendous illness patterns. I mean, it's all over the map. I've gotten people who literally are mentally ill, paranoid schizophrenics, people who have, entity attachments. I know this is a little weird on this show, but honestly, I get something from all over the map. It doesn't matter what your issue is, whatever your listeners' issues might be. If you use that very powerful symbolic sunlight, which is the divine light, it's divine. It can't trespass our free will. That's why we have to focus on it and ask it to help, because it can't just come in willy-nilly. If it could, none of us would have problems. So we have to get to that point of awareness and then send that light and just pulse the light. And you don't have to know where it's going, what it's doing. You don't have to understand it. If you're giving...
Is it something, though, that you see, or is it something that you envision as if you are meditating? And so when you're closing your eyes, you actually draw that into your mind? How does it actually work?
Well, you don't have to see it. You don't have to meditate. In the beginning, when you first start using it...
Do you envision it, though?
You can imagine it. You can sense it. When I started, I couldn't envision anything. And I was like the dunce at the back of the class, and all the other people were saying, oh, I see this, I see that. I saw nothing. But I kept doing it, because if you just say the words, for example, I am sending this light, I send this light to heal my financial issues, those are symbols themselves. It's the same as if you visualize or see a visual symbol. It's a symbol. It's not the energy. The energy is behind the symbol. So I do recommend that you sit in the beginning for maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, not a long time, just to close your eyes and try to envision. try to imagine sending that divine sunlight, just pulse that sunlight in through and around all those energetics that we carry that I explained on the last show, and just pulse that light out there, and it will know what to do. We don't have to direct it. It's a very simple technique.
So is it a feeling, too, that you get from natural sunlight? Is it a feeling that you get by walking in the park on a sunny, warm day, by sitting maybe legs crossed or just in a lounge chair saying, I feel the same energy of the actual sun?
You can. You absolutely can. Some people do right from the get-go feel a warmth, feel an intense energy. Some people see it's a brilliant light. Some people see that brilliant light, but there's no rules, no perfect way to do it or just sit. I do it a lot when I'm out walking now, but when I first started, I very much concentrated with my eyes shut so that I was trying to see, and eventually I got to the point where it came more and more easily, and now, as I said, I'm standing the line at the bank, and I'm activating that energy, or I'm in the shower, or I'm putting the dishes from the dishwasher into the shelves, this mindless kind of work, and I'm just sending that light out. It takes a little bit of practice to feel confident with it, but I want to assure people you can't do it wrong. What is important is the focus of attention on that divine light. It's the focus of attention that's the turn-on switch. It's what's giving permission for it to come in. So it's a really very easy
It
thing.
does sound easy. It would be
is.
interesting to talk to the people who have tried it. And if not, I'm going to try this myself. You're saying it's sending divine light to the issue at
Yeah.
hand. To me, it also means, though, in a form of meditation or positive thinking. That's what it means to me. I mean that you're actually mitigating or neutralizing that energy and sending in something that is positive and powerful in its place.
You're
So,
sending in a very powerful, the most powerful energy we have access to, that any soul has access to. It's the purest, most perfect, and most potent point of power that we all have. And by sending that energy in, it does a lot, and it's divine energy. It knows all. We don't have to direct it further than that. It will find the negative energy thoughts, the negative whatever that has created the difficulties in the life pattern already, and it will go in there and neutralize, dissolve, whatever words you want to use, transform the negative energies into positive. As a matter of fact, what happens is the light, when it neutralizes the negative energies that would be causing the difficult pattern, it then absorbs that neutral energy. So actually the light continues to grow, and it's just a very simple, very direct, very powerful process.
and that's what you actually go over. I was going to say you have two books. The first one is called, or the first one you wrote is called Choices, Neutralizing Your Negative Thoughts and Emotional Blueprint. This is where you delve into specifically this technique.
Yes, and what I'm giving you on the right now is simplifying it even more than the book. I wrote the book 6, 7, 8 years ago. It really goes into depth explaining so you understand how these energies work and why we use this divine light and all of that. It has other parts to it because I'm giving the most basic tool. There are many other parts you can learn about in Choices, but you don't need to use anything but this to get the benefit.
So tell us a little bit about how this manifests itself in is this a technique you also use in workshops, and how are people able to see a change in their lives?
Okay. Yes, I use this technique. My second book is called Soul Psychology, Our Journey in the Human Kingdom Universe. And this book explains more about the journey, how our soul has evolved over eons of time. And the reason I mention it is because now I'm bringing in the journey of the Human Kingdom Universe and adding that piece to this sunlight puzzle. Okay, the sunlight, the symbolic sunlight, the divine light technique is I always use. That never goes away. But I add pieces of understanding so that when I do the energy work, I'll go in and I'll do a soul scan around.
That's interesting.
yeah, the person comes to me with whatever issue, and I scan their soul and find what are the elements that are part of this issue that's manifesting today. And then we use this energy work to neutralize or to shift, to change the underlying causes.
And when you do this, is it a questionnaire that you're asking people? Clearly, there's more in the book that goes into it. But is it in order to kind of say, as you said, or what's happening around them, is this what's happening in their lives, how they're feeling? How do you glean this information?
Well, if someone comes in and says, oh, I've been abused by this, that, and the other, or I'm having troubles with my girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever it is, they give me the basic thing they want to work on, and then I go in and I get the information from their soul.
So tell us how some people have been able to, without mentioning their names or their specific background, but how some people have been able to use this to the benefit of themselves. And if it was an issue of wanting to save more, getting unstuck with that, or as you said, a relationship-based issue, what kind of turnaround did they see? How long does it take to actually feel and see some result to this?
Well, sometimes you can feel it right away. Sometimes it takes a few times. I can give you a lot of examples. In my meetup group, I do mini healings in some of the groups for whoever's present. And this gal came in, and they just had to tell me what their issue was. So I started working on this gal, and the first thing I saw, and I get symbols often about what's going on at the soul level. And I saw her as a little girl, and it looked like bombs were coming out of the sky. But, we're in America. We haven't been bombed. So I'm thinking, and I say, it looks like bombs, but maybe it's just symbolic for things coming out of left field, things you can't avoid that come at you and you have no control over. And I started the healing. Well, she called me 2 days later, and she said, I started to cry the minute you said bombs. She said, I'm actually from Iran, and I grew up and I was bombed.
Wow.
And I had no idea. I'd never met her before. She came to my meetup, and she said, the fascinating thing was I never heard the healing because I was crying through the whole thing. She was crying silently. I didn't know. And she said, but when I went home, I was unloading the groceries or whatever, and her husband, like 15 minutes later, came in and said, who are you? This is true. He said, who are you? And she said, well, what are you talking about? And he said, you haven't asked me to turn down the music. And she just looked at him like a deer in headlights, and she said, I never noticed it. And the reason that is so significant is ever since she's been a child, she's had a great aversion to any kind of loud noise. Wow. And she would have always asked him when she came home to turn the music down. So she called me 2 days later, and she said, I want more healings. So that's one that had to do with this life. But in that case, she got an immediate result. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes because these patterns can be very complex. There was a gal who came to me because she was having trouble getting pregnant. She'd gone through 2 or 3, the IVF, the whatever, trying to get pregnant.
Oh, okay.
So I
in vitro fertilization you're talking about?
Exactly, and nothing was taking. So she came to me and she said, is there anything you can do? So I went in and I saw 2 significant patterns from past lives. One was she'd had a series of lives where when she got pregnant, it was very, very hard. She was in lifetimes, we've all been in these lifetimes, where she was working the fields, where when you're pregnant, you can't take 5 minutes off. You have to,
But
work.
This hadn't happened yet. You're saying
No,
this was her actual physical experience?
No, this was past lives.
Oh.
She'd had a number of lives where it was
Wow.
really difficult, and she struggled. And then when she had the children, again, the work didn't stop. So she built up over lifetimes this aversion to pregnancy and having kids. When every life we're born into, we come in, quote unquote, deaf, dumb, and blind. We don't remember the past.
It's an interesting concept, I think, to neutralize. But where it goes to, again, people taking it in, if that's what they agree with, okay. I want to get a chance to just let folks know that if they are interested, where they can find your work. Tell us again where they can find your first and your second book.
They can go to Amazon, Amazon.com. Both my books are on there. Just look up Janet Richmond. And
the first one is Choices.
Yes, choices, neutralizing your negative thoughts and emotional blueprints. And the second one is Soul Psychology, SOUL, our journey through the human kingdom universe.
And what are some of the other topics that you also cover? Because we've talked about the laws of attraction, in your view, getting unstuck. And what are some of the other things that you're able to lecture on and help people deal with?
Okay, well, the soul psychology is a big one, and I do want to just go back for 1 second to explain to you that the information that I'm sharing is not something that anybody has to believe.
Oh, well, people can believe what they want to believe. That's exactly the
Absolutely.
forum. Exactly.
Yeah, so you may not believe any of this stuff, and that's okay. I have clients who don't speak English. They don't even understand what I'm saying. Okay, and they keep coming back to me because they've gotten so much benefit.
Well, I think the beauty of this is being able to discuss it and say, what resonates and what doesn't. Of course, that's up to the
Exactly.
individual. And that's why we bring, all sorts of things on, Janet, to talk about whether I believe it or not is not the issue. It's allowing other people to also say that may resonate with me or it may not resonate with me.
Exactly.
But also to drill down on the question and see and figure out, how does this work? That's exactly what, that's exactly what we're here to do as well, to say, how does it work? And, maybe that resonates with someone. I think wherever there's a positive place to improve your life safely, lovingly, and get it on the move in a direction that benefits you, and especially if the, residual of that is those around you, thumbs up, to what that is. It's just a matter of saying, okay, what does resonate with me? I think that thinking about getting unstuck and thinking about neutralizing those negative thoughts with positives, I think that's a powerful thing to do. It's a matter of how everybody does that in their individual lives. So, Janet, folks can find you with your workshops and your books online. They can find you on Amazon. Thank you for being with us on Life Advice.
Well, thank you too, Jennifer, and I thank you for what you do for the community, bringing out so many ideas and options and helpful things. It's just Life Advice with you is really great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate, everyone who comes in and has a thought that can make someone's day positive, and again, move it forward. I think there's so much happening in the world that if we can improve ourselves in any way, improve our communities in any way, and be better at what we do, kudos to anyone who can do that. And we all can do a little bit. So collectively, it adds up to a lot,
Yes, and aren't we lucky that there's so many options out there?
Yes.
It's really, we're all really fortunate. You can find something that you resonate with.
Yes, Janet, thank you so much. Thank you to all our listeners. We love you, and we will find you right back here on Life Advice next week. Take care, everybody.